Political instability from land disputes plague many parts of the world. Administrative zones, such as countries, states, or municipalities, are important because they influence governmental policies, such as where foreign aid is allocated or where voting boundaries are drawn. Yet, there remains limited public information about where these administrative borders are. Meet geoBoundaries, a student-run research organization who created the world's largest open and free database of political administrative boundaries.
Our database, the geoBoundaries Global Database, is an online open license resource of boundaries at varying levels for every country in the world. So administrative boundaries are basically the borders for every political division in the world, between and in countries. And it's important to know where these boundaries are because they determine aid allocation, legal jurisdiction, and essentially anything that has a geographic component. So we currently track approximately 300,000 boundaries across 199 entities, including all 195 UN member states, plus Greenland, Taiwan, Niue, and Kosovo. We provide the data in shapefile formats, so they're really easy to download and manipulate in any GIS software.
Only a small collection of organizations have really sought to collect administrative boundaries, while none have focused on the provision of highly precise open license data for scientific and research use. We wanted to combine the best characteristics of all these organizations to provide administrative boundary data freely for everyone. Our team collects the boundaries from a variety of online sources, even drawing on our own boundary lines.
Heather, a former GeoLab member, really took her use of our data to the next level. She used our data for province borders in the Philippines to evaluate school distribution and accessibility throughout the country. We also have a long-standing partnership with the Center for International Earth Science Information Network, or CESIN. Last fall, we worked with them to coordinate vaccine efforts in the Democratic Republic of Congo by defining borders around health points of interest. We also did another public health-oriented project specifically focused on health facility coverage in Ethiopia in response to COVID-19 and was used to help the government better understand their capacity to respond to the pandemic.
COVID is a very real-world, very quickly evolving situation. When it was the Ebola outbreak, the people would come to a hospital or a village and they would say that they were sick, but they wouldn't know where these people were coming from, so it was very difficult to trace the virus and contain it. And so they were hoping to avoid that same pitfall with COVID-19.
So we essentially mapped out the health facility points on top of our administrative boundary data, and we were able to see which administrative areas didn't contain any health facilities versus areas that had sufficient coverage. It was really simple in terms of workflow and GIS skills, but a simple analysis like this can be very powerful and very informative.
Do you mind sharing kind of the motivation behind doing that project in Ethiopia?
We really wanted to kind of get more into the public health sector, and because it was a response to COVID-19, it really was a crisis that needed attention and needed data.
We'd love to see our database being used in a wide range of disciplines. We think our data could be utilized when it comes to sustainability research and exploring how food, water, and electricity are distributed and allocated throughout the world.
What challenges have you encountered using GIS data?
Since we download data from sources around the world, one of the main problems we run into is with non-standardization. Everyone organizes their data in different ways and labels things differently. So it can be difficult to go in and figure out what each file actually means. Even if it's easy to find a file, that file may not necessarily be open access and freely distributable. And we want to remove that barrier and make the research process easier for researchers when using boundary data. Also, for many countries, language can be a major obstacle when you're navigating foreign government websites or cleaning data sets that are non-Latin. And finally, finding more detailed local scale administrative divisions can be challenging. Sometimes there's not definitions of what the local divisions actually are, and sometimes it's just very difficult to find that data.
Good and free data is really difficult to come by and validate. It can discourage researchers and restrict their scope of work. We hope that our data helps policymakers, NGOs, and other organizations make the right decisions as quickly as possible, especially in high conflict areas.
With the availability of more and more open source repositories like the geoBoundaries dataset, more organizations can leverage the power of geospatial data to achieve research objectives across a variety of disciplines. Amidst a pandemic, the importance of their work has never been higher, as organizations look to find the best way to implement medical resources and general foreign aid, saving millions of lives.
At each administrative boundary level.